December 7th, 1941. Oahu, Hawaii. The Sunday morning air is still when the first engine note cuts through it. Sharp, unfamiliar, too low. Sailors on the decks at Pearl Harbor look up, squinting into a pale blue sky. Then the bombs fall. Steel tears open steel. Water lifts itself into the air. A battleship lists slowly, like a wounded animal deciding whether to lie down. On Ford Island, pilots sprint across the tarmac in shirt sleeves, boots slipping on spilled fuel. American aircraft sit wingtip to wingtip, lined up for inspection, not war. A young lieutenant reaches his fighter just as bullets rake the runway. He never gets the canopy closed. The sky has already been taken. The attack does not announce itself. There is no declaration, no warning, only noise. Engines, explosions, screaming metal, and then silence, where radios should be speaking. One control tower tries to call the mainland. The line goes dead. Above Oahu, Japanese Zeros wheel with discipline and calm. They are not hunting cities. They are hunting planes, destroying them before they can rise. A bomb strikes Battleship Row. Another follows. Smoke thickens, turning morning into dusk. Sailors jump into burning water, unsure which will kill them first. Then a second wave appears. From the ground it looks rehearsed, almost careful. Dive bombers fold their wings and drop through clouds of black smoke, threading between masts and cranes. Anti-aircraft fire finally answers. Scattered, late, furious. Shells burst too high, too slow. The sky belongs to someone else. At Wheeler Field, mechanics grab rifles. At Hickam, hangars burn with the aircraft still inside. One pilot manages to get airborne, climbing through smoke with oil streaking his windshield. He fires once. Then his engine coughs. The ocean rises to meet him. Across the harbor, an officer begins destroying papers, maps, codes, anything that might explain how this happened. Another orders the gates sealed. No one knows if more planes are coming, or ships, or troops. For 90 minutes, the balance of air power in the Pacific collapses in real time. When the last Japanese aircraft turns north, the harbor is unrecognizable. Ships burn at their moorings. Oil slicks carry fire across the water. The sky clears slowly, indifferently. Survivors stand in shock, listening to fires crackle where engines once idled. Then the realization settles in, not just that America has been attacked, but that the war will be decided in the air. April 18th, 1942, over the Western Pacific. The deck of the USS Hornet shudders as a bomber rolls forward, far earlier than planned. The sea is rough, the sky is low. A lookout has spotted something on the horizon. There is no time left to argue. The signal comes. Launch now. A B-25 Mitchell, never meant to fly from a carrier, drops into empty air. For a moment it seems to fall rather than fly. Then the engines catch. Another follows. And another. 16 in all, lifting off with just enough fuel to reach Japan and not enough to come back. Weeks earlier, Japanese air power had seemed untouchable. The Mitsubishi A6M0, light, agile, lethal, had carved through Allied skies from Malaya to the Philippines. American pilots learned quickly what not to do. Don't turn with it. Don't climb with it. Don't fight it alone. The Zero had range, speed, and confidence behind it. It could reach where it wasn't expected. Now that reach is being tested. Hours later, over Tokyo, air raid sirens wail in disbelief. Anti-aircraft guns open fire at empty sky. Then find their targets. Bombs fall on factories, rail yards, neighborhoods. Damage is limited. The shock is not. For the first time, Japanese civilians see enemy aircraft overhead. The Empire's air shield has been pierced. Then, the American planes vanish, eastward into cloud and fuel exhaustion. Most crews bail out over China. Some are captured. A few are executed. The raid changes nothing tactically, but everything psychologically. In Tokyo, senior officers stand before maps and admit what had been unthinkable. Japan cannot protect its skies everywhere. The perimeter must expand. Midway becomes the answer. In the months that follow, air battles stretch across thousands of miles. At Coral Sea, carrier aircraft fight without fleets ever seeing one another. Pilots return to decks punched full of holes, counting who didn't make it back. For the first time, the Zero meets organized resistance, new American tactics, teamwork, discipline. One pilot notes the change in his log. They're not running anymore. By June, the war in the air has shifted, not because of a single raid or a single battle, but because the illusion of invincibility has cracked. Both sides now understand the same truth. This war will not be decided by who strikes first, but by who can keep flying when the sky turns against them. August 20th, 1942. Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands. Dawn breaks heavy and wet over Henderson Field. The runway is still scarred from shelling, patched with coral and sweat. Marines crouch in slit trenches as engines growl overhead. Friendly this time, 2 squadrons of American fighters land almost together, tires bouncing hard, brakes screaming. Someone on the ground exhales. The island can finally answer back. For weeks, Guadalcanal has been a fight measured in exhaustion. Japanese bombers come down the slot at first light nearly every day. They fly low over the water, hugging cloud and coastline, then rise just long enough to drop their loads. When they leave, the jungle smolders. When they return, men are waiting. Henderson Field is not a fortress. It is a clearing carved from jungle, defended by rifles, machine guns, and whatever aircraft can still fly. Pilots sleep beside their planes. Mechanics work by flashlight. Fuel arrives by night, if it arrives at all. Every takeoff risks drawing artillery fire. Every landing risks not having a runway left. Above the island, Iran, the air war becomes personal. Zeros arrive in disciplined formations, escorting bombers with patient confidence. American Wildcats climb to meet them, heavier, slower, but flying in pairs, watching each other's tails. The sky fills with twisting contrails and tracer fire. A pilot loses sight of his wingman. He never sees him again. Then the radio crackles and goes silent. By afternoon, the pattern repeats. Japanese bombers come. Fighters rise. Men count who returns. Losses are replaced unevenly. Japanese pilots fly long distances from Rabaul, arriving already tired, already low on fuel. Americans fight close to their field, but they are trapped on the island, with nowhere to fall back. The jungle listens to everything. Engines, crashes, shouting, silence. One Marine later recalls watching a Zero hit the water just offshore, skipping once before sinking. The pilot never emerges. No one cheers. There is no time. Weeks turn into months. The air above, Guadalcanal grinds men down. Skill matters less than endurance. Confidence bleeds away on both sides. Japan begins losing veteran pilots it cannot easily replace. America learns how to stay in the fight. By November, the balance has shifted. Not decisively, but enough. The island still burns. The airfield still takes fire. But the sky is no longer uncontested. For the first time, Japan's air power is not advancing. It is being worn away. June 19, 1944, Philippine Sea, west of Saipan. The radar screen flickers, then steadies. Blips appear at long range, dozens of them, moving fast. On the flight deck of an American carrier, a signal officer raises his arm. Fighters are already warming their engines. There is no surprise in his voice when he gives the order, only readiness. High above the sea, Japanese pilots fly toward the largest carrier force ever assembled. Many are young. Some have barely completed training. Their mission is simple, and impossible, break the American fleet's air cover, find the carriers, and destroy them before they can support the invasion of the Marianas. They fly into a sky that no longer resembles Guadalcanal. American Hellcats climb in layers, guided by radar and radio. Controllers speak calmly, almost conversationally, directing pilots toward targets they cannot yet see. The Japanese formations appear out of haze and cloud, tight, determined, already behind the curve of the fight. The first engagement lasts minutes. Hellcats dive with speed the Zero can no longer match. Guns fire in long, controlled bursts. Japanese aircraft break formation, scattering downward, upward, anywhere but forward. Some pilots try to turn. They disappear in fire. Others press on, flying through flak so dense it looks solid. Below, American ships watch the sky fill with falling aircraft, engines smoking, wings tearing loose, bodies cartwheeling toward the sea. Sailors begin counting splashes. Someone mutters a phrase that will follow them, battle forever. It is not meant to be cruel. It is meant to make sense of what they are seeing. Then the radios light up, again and again, with the same message. Splash 1. Japanese pilots who survived the first attack turn for home. Many never find it. Fuel gauges fall. Clouds close in. Some ditch deliberately near destroyers, choosing capture over drowning. Others vanish without witnesses. By afternoon, a second wave comes and meets the same sky. By evening, the sea is littered with wreckage. The Japanese carrier air arm is effectively gone. Not damaged, not bloodied. Removed. The imbalance is no longer theoretical. It is absolute. An American pilot lands after his third sortie and shuts down his engine. His hands are shaking, not from fear, from the realization that the enemy he had trained to face no longer exists in the form he expected. Below decks, Japanese commanders face the numbers they cannot escape. The war in the air has crossed a threshold. From this day forward, Japan will fight without the sky. March 9th, 1945. Tokyo, Japan. Night settles without warning. There is no siren at first, only the distant hum of engines, layered, deliberate, growing. Families pause mid-movement. Somewhere, a radio clicks on, then off again. By the time the alarms finally sound, the sky is already filling with shadows. American B-29s arrive in long, staggered streams, flying lower than expected, beneath the jet stream. Incendiaries fall not as explosions, but as rain. Roofs ignite. Paper walls vanish. Wind pulls fire through neighborhoods faster than men can run. The city begins to burn inward, block by block. Japanese fighters scramble, a handful rising into a sky crowded with bombers and drifting smoke. Fuel is scarce. Radar coverage is thin. Pilots climb through turbulence created by heat itself. One manages to fire before being forced down, his aircraft shaking violently as the air collapses around him. Below, the firestorm forms. Streets become furnaces. Canals boil. Civilians flee, carrying children, bedding, anything they can hold. Some lie down in open spaces and cover their faces. Others run until there is nowhere left to run. By morning, entire districts have ceased to exist. This is no longer a battle for air superiority. That decision has already been made. Now, air power is a weight, applied night after night, against an enemy that cannot meaningfully respond. Japan's remaining aircraft are dispersed, hidden, conserved for a moment that has not yet arrived. Pilots train in fragments. Mechanics cannibalize wrecks to keep a few machines flying. The sky is watched, but no longer contested. Over the following weeks, the pattern repeats across Nagoya, Osaka, Kobe. Bombers arrive with mechanical regularity. Fighters rise rarely, briefly. When they do, they are swarmed, tracked, erased. An American crewman looks down through broken cloud and sees the glow of fires stretching to the horizon. He writes later that it looks like sunrise, except it comes from the ground. In Tokyo, officials gather in rooms lit by candles and emergency lamps. They listen to reports they already understand. Air defenses are inadequate. Losses are unsustainable. The home islands are exposed. Yet the war continues, because one belief still holds, that a final battle, a final sacrifice in the air, might yet alter the end. That moment is coming. October 25th, 1944. Off Leyte Gulf, Philippines. The sea is calm when the lookout shouts. A single aircraft breaks through the cloud layer, flying low, straight, unnaturally steady. Anti-aircraft guns open fire immediately. Tracers climb toward it, stitching the sky. The plane does not turn away. On the deck below, sailors freeze, long enough to understand what they are seeing. The aircraft hits the carrier St. Lo near the flight deck. The explosion is sharp, contained. Then the secondary blasts erupt, one after another as fueled planes ignite. Within minutes, the ship is fatally wounded. Smoke rises in a column that can be seen for miles. This is something new. Weeks earlier, Japanese commanders had reached a conclusion born not of desperation alone, but calculation. Conventional air attacks were no longer effective. Pilot training was inadequate. Aircraft were obsolete. But a plane, flown with intention, could still break a ship. So they formalized it. Special attack units, kamikaze. Pilots are briefed quietly. Ceremonies are simple. A shared cup of sake, a headband, a photograph sent home. Many are barely out of school. Some write letters, others do not. Their aircraft are stripped of radios, of landing gear, of anything not required for a one-way flight. Over Leyte, they come in waves. American radar detects them early. Fighters intercept many miles out. But some always slip through, flying just above the water, using clouds, using the sun. Each approach is silent, intent. Gunners track targets that do not evade. Pilots who have survived dozens of missions realize suddenly that skill may no longer matter. A kamikaze strikes a destroyer escort amidships. Another crashes into a carrier's island. Fires break out. Crews fight them with practiced urgency, dragging hoses through smoke, sealing compartments, pushing wreckage overboard. The fleet absorbs the blows, but each hit leaves a mark. For the pilots who survive their attacks, there is no victory in the traditional sense. There is only absence. Squadrons vanish, airfields empty. The sky above the Philippines becomes a place where death falls straight down. By early 1945, the tactic spreads to Okinawa. Hundreds of aircraft are committed. Most never reach their targets. Some do. It does not change the outcome, but it reshapes the experience of the war, turning the air itself into a weapon of sacrifice. And still, the fighting continues, because the final air battle has not yet been fought. August 15, 1945. Atsugi Airfield, Japan. The runway is quiet. Aircraft sit in rows, fueled, armed, ready, and unmoving. Pilots stand beside them, helmets under their arms, listening to a radio balanced on a crate. The broadcast crackles, then steadies. The Emperor's voice emerges, distant, formal, almost unreal. Some do not understand the words at first. Others do, and close their eyes. Across Japan, engines are shut down that will never start again. Orders prepared for final sorties are torn up or burned. At several airfields, officers physically restrain pilots trying to take off anyway. One aircraft is destroyed on the ground to prevent an unauthorized mission. The war in the air ends not with a battle, but with containment. Weeks earlier, the sky had delivered its final arguments. Over Hiroshima, then Nagasaki, a single aircraft had flown unchallenged unopposed. There were no fighters to intercept it, no warning system capable of stopping what followed. The absence of air, since defense spoke as loudly as the explosion itself. Japan no longer controlled its own sky. Now, the cost of that loss is everywhere. American bombers continue flying reconnaissance and supply drops. Fighters escort surrender teams. Over former battlefields, wreckage still lies where it fell. In jungles, on reefs, beneath shallow water. No one rushes to clear it. Pilots on both sides process the end in fragments. Some feel relief. Others feel emptiness. Many feel nothing at all. Years of tension do not dissipate cleanly. In the Pacific, air power had not merely supported the war. It had defined it. From Pearl Harbor to Tokyo, from coral runways to burning cities, control of the sky had decided who could move, who could strike, who could endure. The deadliest air battles of the war were not always the largest. They were the ones where the margin vanished, where experience met attrition, where courage met mathematics, where the sky itself became hostile. On August 15th, the sky over. 15th, the sky, Japan is clear. No contrails, no flak bursts, no alarms, just wind moving across empty runways. For the first time in nearly 4 years, nothing is coming.